You will hear of wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not alarmed. Such things must happen, but the end is still to come. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains. Then you will be handed over to be persecuted and put to death, and you will be hated by all nations because of me.
And yes, indeed, it is Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Christopher is me. And I welcome you to a short one today, I believe. You never know, I guess. But of course, you're welcome to chime in. And if you're watching live or listening live, please go ahead and just type in your comment or question, who you are, where you are from, etc., etc. More than welcome to do that. Please share this, though, if you can, no matter when you're watching it or what platform. We are on X, Instagram, Facebook, and, of course, YouTube. The YouTube channel for Wings of the Eagle is the one to share. If you would please do that. That is the most helpful because we can get support that way to continue to do this. And we always have a Patreon down in the description page that offers some things for you, or just support us directly at wingsoftheeagle.com/support unsealed. Anything you can give would be awesome. Okay, so just a couple of words here from Jesus Christ. How about that? He's the man, right? He's the Son of Man and the Son of God and the Lord. So he's good to listen to, I figure. And it applies broadly to the scary times in some of our lives where we feel we are compelled or just really, really passionate about starting something that doesn't exist, or volunteering our time that we don't necessarily have to give, but any that we do have to support something that we believe in wholeheartedly, whether it pays the bills or not. So I certainly can relate to that. Someone called to this by God, that's maybe a little bit, another level, but the point is counting the cost and what Jesus means by that. All right, so that comes from him, if you didn't know, by the way. Let's take a look at what he actually said. This is from Luke chapter 14 in your Holy Bible. If you want to be my disciple, you must hate or love less everyone else by comparison. Your father, your mother, wife, and children, brothers and sisters, yes, even your own life. Otherwise, you cannot be my disciple. And if you do not carry your own cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. But don't begin following me until you count the cost. For who would begin construction of a building without first calculating the cost to see if there is enough money to finish it? Otherwise, you might complete only the foundation before running out of money, and then everyone would laugh at you. They would say, there's the person who started that building and couldn't afford to finish it. Or what king would go to war against another king without first sitting down with his counselors to discuss whether his army of 10,000 could defeat the 20,000 soldiers marching against him? And if he can't, he will send a delegation to discuss terms of peace while the enemy is still far away. So you cannot become my disciple without giving up everything you own or renouncing it. Okay? Hey there, bondservant. Blessings to you, my friend. Thanks for supporting us in this ministry, bondservant. You can do the same, by the way. You can hit join if you're watching YouTube, again on Wings of the Eagle. Support that way. Whatever way you can. So that's all part of this. And I just wanted to maybe those who are in the middle of this to encourage you, certainly as it relates to following Jesus as a Christian. I hope you are one, because that means you're my brother or my sister forever. But even if you're not yet, I know what it's like to want to build something from nothing. Call it entrepreneurial spirit or whatever, but it's more than that. You're not, it's not like you have time to waste or it's just a side project that if it doesn't work, it doesn't matter to you. You matters a lot. And I was felt like we should talk about this particular phrase about counting the cost. Unless you're willing to finish it, don't start. That's what Jesus is saying. Unless you're willing to go all the way, just don't bother. You're not going to finish that building. You're not going to go to war if you're going to lose. You only have half the troops that the other guy does. You better hurry up and make a peace offer instead of fighting him. Because you're going to lose. You don't have what it takes to finish and be successful in building it. And again, as a disciple, and it's no big deal to be called a disciple, it just means a student. If you want to be a student of Jesus, if you really care about what he says and think he's awesome and really do, whether you call yourself a Christian, I know some people have a problem with that. I certainly do not. But if some people did, whatever, it's just you're being a student of Jesus. And if you really are one, he's telling you here straight up, okay, no matter what else you hear or want to believe, if you don't give up everything else to follow him, you're not his student because you haven't counted the cost. Because to many followers of Jesus in that subject alone, there are many, 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 many people right now in this world who have given their lives because they follow Jesus and for no other purpose. It's happening as we speak. I'm reading updates from friends literally in other continents on my phone, private messaging, that are telling me how it really is. It's incredibly easy from where I sit and from where maybe you're sitting, to think, life is really difficult for you right now. Probably it's not. And especially for just being, for no other reason other than you believe Jesus is your savior and you're going to tell someone else that as well, that's the crime. That's the reality for many in this world. So don't ever forget that. Anyways, they've counted the cost because they're willing to give their life. They don't even love their own life as much as following Jesus. That's what he means. Okay. Now, to other things, again, even to maybe my non-Christian friends, there are things that I believe in that I'm trying to dedicate my time to now that are with unbelievers. And welcome to earth. I can't even say I was in I served at a physical church for a decade. And for those 10 years, I want to think, but there's really, the fact is you can't even assume that everyone in a church building is a Christian. In fact, pretty sure that was never the case. Never. On a Sunday morning, gathered with, at least dozens, maybe 100 or more, in a church, and not everyone was a Christian. So you can't even go there and say, you're getting along with, you're in doing work and building something with non-Christians. Of course, it happens even in church. But anyway, I guess what really drove this today versus another day is there are subjects that aren't specifically church activities that I still think God wants me involved with. and he wants you involved with, even if you don't really know him yet, or just getting to know him, or maybe you don't get why you're in this. The for me, and there are not a lot of folks who are like this, but there are some who are gifted with the God basically gives you, because of his grace, because he feels like it from the time you were small, maybe your whole life, the gift of connecting others and facilitating relationships, not with you, but you're introducing person B to person C, right? And they're going to work together now because through you. Now, that's maybe the end of you in that equation. Person A is gone. Now B and C are off doing their thing. And that happens. That happens a lot in my testimony, okay? It just does. And it's not always a happy. In fact, it's never happy. Sometimes it is like, oh, I'm glad I could do that. Hey, awesome, But now I'm not in that anymore. Hey, I would have liked to have stayed in that relationship or that built something with you guys, because I thought we all had something in common, and then they go off and do their thing and leave you behind. And that's fine. That's how it goes. But anyways, so a lot of folks are gifted with, some folks are gifted with that. And the desire to network, to connect others of like mind, to build things, to facilitate that communication, those relationships, that common cause. And that has manifested in my life different ways. Now it's with the church and with what you're seeing here, and ministry and podcasts and stuff. But 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it was political to me. I was doing political organization, grassroots. In other words, not the people in power or control or with titles, but the everyday folks just living their lives, but they care about something, a candidate or an issue, or something like that, where I could get on board and help to make those connections. Hey, I could do that with you, or I can provide a platform through technology or whatever to help in that. Then I always love to do that. And that got me on 3 different presidential campaigns and became a U.S. Senate candidate campaign manager, for example, and other things of that nature. But that's where those talents can get you. And anyway, just the desire to build and maintain the network for a passion and something that's really important is not something to be taken lightly. In fact, you should take it very seriously. And just yesterday, I think what spurred this on the most is last night, I found out one of the very few folks who I not only follow what they do, and not only endorse, their message and share in their passion, but actually help and support what they're doing. Because we don't have a lot of money here. Just don't. I mean, that's an understatement. So one of them was called the UFO Network, and it was one gentleman in Arkansas, and not the one you may know who's worked with me before on church issues, different guy. And he's a small family. He has a special needs son, and he just really cared about forming a network and getting the news, the relevant information out to those who care about this subject, because he knows it was very important to him and to his country and to the world in his views. So he was building a network up just from scratch, from nothing. Now, again, there are bigger names and organizations with lots of, thousands of members and all that, but there is not really a community, a network community that shares resources and information. It's kind of loosely knit on Twitter, on X right now. But anyway, I just want to encourage you guys to continue on. Anyway, this brother, this gentleman, suddenly passed away Monday night or Monday morning, and he's my age. So, and all of a sudden, if you're a one-man operation and you're gone, I hope you've counted the cost to that and to pour yourself into it. I'm not saying it's not worth it. But this just, to me, just drives home the fact that we must be very, very conscious all the time. And by the way, I'm not getting any views right now. I mean, literally, I'm looking at my live counter. So I don't know what's going on here. But the point being, I want to encourage you in that. Count the cost. This has gone on long enough. We've heard the words of the Lord on this. Continue in what you're doing. If you believe it's your purpose to do that, just be sure we're counting the cost and that you're not going to regret anything when it's over. Because you might. Other than that, if you're solid, then let's go. Well, let's get to the comments here by Bondservant before she had to leave the viewing room here. I had a dream last night of a basket of fruit. Delicious looking. When I took one and cut it open, it was full of rot and worms. Oh, and heard it said, not everyone who says Lord is of me. And now you're talking about counting the cost. Yeah. Right. So again, you have many folk, and that's what is that? Jeremiah, the prophet, had a similar instruction from God. He was shown basket of fruit. Maybe Zechariah also, but definitely Jeremiah. And it looks good from one angle, but then you inspect it, and it's really not. And so, I don't know. Maybe that ties in today. Maybe this will be the worst performing podcast in the history of Unsealed. And that's fine. Again, if we're being obedient, if we're being serious about who we're serving and what we're doing, then let's go and continue it to the very end if you've counted the cost. All right, friends. Till next time. Maybe we'll get something more engaging next time around. But this has been Unsealed, the official podcast of Wings of the Eagle. Till next time.